Hey, how's it going? I want to do a final video on how the floor turned out. So this is looking from our room that we had before, looking into the area that we finished, and I kind of just wanted to show like an overall picture just so you can see kind of what everything's kind of level now. Looks great. Wasn't level before. I did a lot of work on the subfloor to bring it up to level, and that's in some of the early videos back in the late spring. And then obviously laid my floor. I used the same wood that I used on this side, so that's why it looks pretty close. You can see there's a little bit of difference in the woods. It's actually not in the finish, it's in the specific trees that were actually cut down. This one has a little bit less rings than the ones over here. They have a little bit more growth rings on them. But what I really wanted to show here is this is two different floors. So this floor was laid about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. And this is the new floor. In fact, the new floor starts right here. But then I finished up to here, and I left the tape here for a second, just so you can see it is totally possible to just finish up to existing polyurethane. And you cannot, let's see if I can get even closer, you really can't see the transition. Now, I tried to keep it right on, let me see if I can figure out. Yep, right on this line right here. So I guess if you got down there microscopically, you could see like a little bump. And then what I did is I came back with a paper towel and I wiped along the edge to try to smooth it out so there wouldn't be any ridge. But once it dried, you can't really see any transition, and that's the same thing over here. You know, you can feel a little bit of a ridge here where the floors come together, just because it wasn't perfectly even. But no, you can't really tell. And then here we are in the room that I finished. So this was all done with the Festool Rotex RO150, a whole bunch of sandpaper, earmuffs, this vac. Again, I mean, I'll show you up here. So this is in the house. So a little bit of dust, but this is actually mostly dust from just not cleaning. It's not sanding dust. That's one thing I like about that vacuum is, you know, in here you can see I've got a little bit of dust, but compared to where you would be with sanding with a traditional sander, it's really not bad. But yeah, so here's my little ramp that I had to put in to meet the old floor. Here is an old polyurethane floor, and you can see obviously that's not going to match, but it's pretty close. It's not too far off. And then over on this end, same thing. You can see we did finish a couple of the old floors, sand them down. I think if I sanded, so try to show you here, this is old floor that hasn't been sanded down. This is old floor that has been sanded down. And then this is new floor. I think if I actually went down and sanded all this, I could get this exact same hue, or I guess, I don't know, tone to the floor. And it would obviously, you can see as I sanded down, removed a lot of the bumps. The other thing I did is, you can see how there's a big gap here. Well, in this floor, I filled all the gaps. So there's a filled gap and there's an unfilled gap. So you could obviously do that and you'd get a much nicer front room. So I may end up doing that sometime, but not for the foreseeable future. And you could definitely see the color difference. These are the same floor. This is just finished and this is unfinished, or left as it was before. So we may eventually come in here and sand this and refinish this area. But what's nice is that we won't have to touch any of this, which is good because the next project, those are IKEA cabinets that have been painted, and these are IKEA cabinets just the way they come. So we're gonna paint these, raise them up a little bit, put molding along the top, and finish them in, put lighting in. These are actually the same door as this. This is just not painted, And then this one's been painted, and I used an HVLP painter. So I may end up doing a little bit on how that all worked, because I really like the IKEA cabinets. Very easy to work with. So anyhow, that's the final video of the floor. Floor is raised, it's finished. Did it all without running any tools. I just did it with my little hand sander. Rolled it all myself. It's not perfect. There's little, hairs and little issues, but it's more than good enough for real life. And, as soon as my dog and our kids and all that get involved, it's gonna be pretty ripped up. I was gonna show you the vent. So this is the vent that I built in. And I haven't actually pushed it all in, but you can see how snug a fit it actually is. So let me just push this in on camera here. All right, so there we go. So now that vent is in and it is snug. It is not going anywhere. All the stuff on the walls and stuff will be taken care of by trim. You won't see any of that, so it'll look really nice. But there's that vent. Looks great. It's a great. And hopefully this gives somebody ideas on how to refinish their floor, fix a sagging floor if they want to level it without having to take out the subfloor, and then laying a new floor. And then once you put the finish on, people think it always look like that. And it's a little sad when you do flooring because it's pretty, but people don't really realize the labor and time and care that goes into doing a floor because they walk on it. But hopefully this inspires somebody else out there and they can use this information and make their own house, great place to live. All right, thanks so much. Good luck.